So in this series that we are calling Symbols and Numbers, this is the second video. Just to let you know, I'm planning on making a series of these things on different aspects of, I would really like to call it Vedic thought, but at the same time, I just want to mention that when I say Vedic thought, I'm not really talking about something directly extracting from Rig Veda or Yajurveda or anything like that. The Vedic culture, I'm talking about the culture, which some people refer to as the Indic thought or the Indic culture. And you can also say Sanatana Dharma, whatever words we use, I think we are referring roughly to the same type of thought and the same type of living. So, having said that, today I just want to focus on one aspect which sort of like, some of it is in the symbolism part and some of it is in the number form. Last time in the video number 1, I very briefly referred to 0 and infinity and the number system. And we were talking about number 7. And so because of that, I said we'll talk about it later. So today in this video, let's spend a little bit of time talking about those two numbers and its relationship to the number system. And everything in the universe, of course, is connected, right? So we cannot take the number system by itself because it has implications in the universe also. So I hope to tie all these things together in this talk. To start with, I want to take you to this symbol of Padmanabha. Some people refer to it as Anantha Padmanabha. So Anantha, as we already discussed, is infinity. Anta means the end. Ananta is something without end. So in Sanskrit, Ananta means infinity. That's all. So if you look at that form, what you see when you just look at it is that you see like a serpent with 3 coils and with its hood on the top like this, right? And then you see Padmanabha or Bhagavanta lying on that with his eyes closed usually. He's just lying there. And out of the nabhi or the navel, there's a Padma or a lotus coming. And on top of the lotus, Chaturmukha Brahma with 4 different heads is sitting there. And then you also see Lakshmi sitting near his feet. And of course, you know, in some of the places you'll also see Shiva, Parvati and so on. But if you just focus on the main part, right? So when you look at the serpent, right? That, by the way, is Shesha. So it is actually Anantha lying on top of Shesha. That's what that symbol is. So when you just look at that from a physical perspective, it makes no sense at all. Because it's very difficult to lie on serpent or not. If it's coiled with hollow in the middle, it's sort of like having a, a cot, or a bed, a frame with no mattress. So that's kind of silly. I mean, why would you'll fall down if you would lie in that. So it actually, physically, it makes no sense at all. It looks almost ridiculous, actually. But there is, again, this is symbolism. Nobody is lying on anything. It's symbolism, right? So when you look at this Shesha, let's talk about that first. So Shesha is lying there there is a circular coil, and there are 3 of them usually, right? So we need to first find out who in this universe, who is this Shesha? What are we talking about? What are we referring to? So if I just go look at the universe, right? There is the physical universe, of course. There is energy and so on. But even physically, there is the physical universe. And it's interesting to note that my own field in electronics, like if you look at a single atom, you have all these electrons orbiting around that in different orbits and so on. If I go look at the solar system, you have all these planets orbiting around the sun and so on. I can keep going. I can look at a galaxy. The sun is a pretty small star, actually. So there are bigger stars and the universe is very, very big, and we don't even know where the end is actually in reality. But it is interesting that in all of these things, while the universe appears to expand, like the galaxies, and it appears to expand on one hand, but at the same time, there's a force of attraction that keeps all the planets in orbit, right? So let us say none of this physical stuff exists. Like, suppose all the things break apart in the whole universe, right? What will you be left with? Well, eventually, even if the atom were to split apart, then you have these subatomic particles just in inertia, right? So that is what in the Vedic terminology we refer to as Pralaya Samudra. So when Mahapralaya happens, when everything disintegrates, you have this subatomic particles everywhere. And the thing is, they're not coming together. They're not coming together for 2 reasons. One is there's no force of attraction. And secondly, there's no vibration. So movement is a necessity. Vibration and movement is a necessity for universe to exist. Motion. Well, again, if you go to the atomic level, electrons keep moving constantly. They don't stop, right? So that motion is very essential for any of this material to exist. If electrons stop orbiting, we're in trouble because none of this material things would exist actually, right? So whether you look at something as minuscule as an atom or something bigger like a solar system, for example, if the Earth stops orbiting around the sun, we have a problem, right? So no matter whether you're looking at something at the micro scale or the macro scale, movement and vibration are absolutely essential. That's part of existence. Now the question is, why doesn't the electron just fly away, from the nucleus? What is it that keeps it in that atom? That is the force of attraction. So like even here, as I sit here and talk, why is it that I'm able to just sit here and you see people in space capsules where there's less gravity, they're sort of like, they're floating around in the space and so on. How come I can just sit here and I can walk on the earth and I can run and I can exist? It is that force of attraction, it's the force of gravity. Right? So if you look at that gravitational force that attracts us towards the center, right? Similarly, the earth is attracted towards the sun and so on, right? So when you remove, question is this, when you remove all physical matter, what is left? Is there anything left? did that force of attraction go away or not? The answer is it actually exists. It still exists. However, for things to come together, that vibration has to start. The motion, the movement has to start. Otherwise, just having the force of attraction is not good enough. This force of attraction, Shesha, by the way, in Sanskrit means remainder. Like when you do division or something, so you have the quotient, you have the remainder and so on. So that is what is left. So when you take everything away, what is left is one way of saying that is nothing, but it's not actually nothing. Because this force of gravity and attraction is still there, but it's not a physical thing. But that force is there. That is what we refer to as Shesha. It's also referred to in Sanskrit as Sankarshana. Sankarshana means Akarshana is attraction. So it's the force of attraction, right? Now, if you look at the number 0 in the number system, as we know it, the integer number system, let's not, even though there is meaning about negative numbers also, we'll put that aside for the time being. So there is 0 on one hand, then you have all these integers. So if you look at the integers, question is, if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on, how many are there? No limit. I can keep counting. Even if you have a trillion, zillion, I can add 1 to that and that number exists, right? So there's no end to it. So how many are there? Infinite. So there are infinite number of integers, and they all this infinite number of integers, they do have to follow the laws of arithmetic, right? They have to. They do, and they have to. However, these two things at the end, the 0 and infinity, don't. They don't follow the laws of arithmetic. So you may say, well, then are they the same? Like we say that 0 plus 0 is 0. 10 times 0 is 0. Infinity plus infinity is infinity. Infinity times 10 is infinity. So at first glance, it sort of seems like these two things are the same. But they're not. I'll tell you why. So I have 10 fingers in my hands. Suppose I start counting. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on. When I come up to 9, so we have these 9 symbols in the number system. When I come to 10, I represent that not with a new symbol. Because if I start creating new symbols, right? How many new symbols will I have? Infinite number. And nobody can figure it out. Can you imagine, like, take a million, just 1 million, which is not such a big number in the grand scheme of things. Suppose I had 1 million symbols to represent each unique number from 1 to million. Do you know, can any of us actually comprehend that? No. So what the number system has done is that you go up to 9, then to represent 10, what do? You put 1, 0. You say, okay, but if 0 is nothing, if it is, that's why I'm saying it's not nothing. If you take away the 0, it becomes a 1. I stick the 0, it becomes 10. I stick 2 zeros, it becomes a 100, and so on, right? So 0 is not nothing. It's not nothing. Because it is what keeps all the numbers together. It is a force of attraction that keeps all these numbers together. However, you say, okay, how about I'm going to start a new number system. Okay, so in my new number system, I'm not going to have 1 0, I'll have 1 infinity. There's no such thing. Infinity is totally outside of this thing. My point is that 0 is not, even though it doesn't follow the rules of the other numbers in the number system, it is not outside the laws of nature. It's not outside the laws of arithmetic. Because if you put 1 0 plus 1 0, it's equal to 2 0. 10 plus 10 is 20, right? If I say 1 times infinity plus 1 times infinity equals just infinity, that's all, not 2 times infinity. Or it's not 2 infinity. 1 infinity plus 1 infinity is infinity, right? So it's totally outside all laws of arithmetic and nature, right? The other thing also interesting to note is that I already said this, like how many integers are there? Infinite number. So actually all of these integers are actually embedded in infinity in one way. It's none of them are infinity. You can never reach infinity. I can keep counting. If I have nothing else to do my whole life, I can keep counting. But I'll never reach infinity though. Yeah? But I cannot say the same thing about 0. Right? I cannot say that about 0. Because if I put 0 plus 1, I get 1. I get 1 plus infinity, I get infinity. But I put 0 plus 1, I get 1. Right? So we can say that infinity is part of this number system because there are infinite numbers of integers. Because you have infinite number of integers, it is all part of that infinity because there are infinite number of them, but none of them are infinite. So if you look at the Vedic thought, if you look at this Padmanabha form, right? Symbolism. So that Shesha is like 0, right? Why 3 things and all that, if I have time, we can talk about that. But let's just look at the main part. The thing is, Shesha represents 0. Bhagavanta or Padmanabha lying on top of that represents infinity. So, this infinity on top of 0 or Bhagavanta on top of the gravitational, that Sankarshana Shakti, that is what results in, out of the Nabhi. The interesting thing is, like I said, Bhagavanta doesn't have to follow any laws of nature. He is aprakrita, he is beyond Prakriti, right? But the interesting thing is this, we all have a Nabhi, right? We all have a navel. So why do we have that? Well, because before we were born, that's how we were fed when we were in our mother's womb. That's how I got nutrition, all that helped me grow until I was born, right? In this case, this Nabhi is a interesting Nabhi in that it was never born. It never needed something to go into it, but things come out of it, right? So what comes out of it? This Kamala, this lotus. The lotus, if you look at again, it's a symbol. It's not an actual flower, lotus, but it's a symbol, right? So if you look at that, what you notice is that in the lotus, it's like a bud, right? So it's got several parts. It's got the stalk. So if you look at if you open up the stalk of a lotus flower, you'll see very thin strands. So it's made up of very, very thin strands collectively. And then there is that green outer casing type of thing, right? Similarly, out of this Nabhi, it never got cut off, right? The stalk is still in the Nabhi. So in this infinite number of strands, it is feeding energy. So all the energy is coming from this Bhagavanta just lying there doing nothing. But all the energy is coming through that to the actual lotus flower. So he is the source of all energy. Yeah. Now what happens? Well, as you just unravel all these different petals in a lotus, in the universe, there are multiple layers, including the physical world and so on. So there are different lokas, right? The 7 lokas. So all these things are different layers that open up, right? And at the center of it, who's there? Chaturmukha Brahma. Because he is the one who created this physical universe, right? Now, why do they show, nobody has 4 faces. That's kind of silly, right? You can face this way, face this. That's really very silly, See, this is what happens when you don't understand the symbolism. It looks so ridiculous, right? You wonder what the heck, what's going on here. But Chaturmukha Brahma, if you look at the universe, there are 4 dimensions, right? The normal 3 dimensions of the physical universe, and the 4th dimension is time. Time is the 4th dimension. So the universe exists because of the 3-dimensional space and all the things that happen in the 3-dimensional space and time. Because everything is a function of time, right? All motion, everything, right, is a function of time. So in this universe, what came out in these different layers of the universe is this 3-dimensional activity as a function of time. That's what Chaturmukha Brahma represents, right? So why is Lakshmi not in that? Well, because nature, Lakshmi means, Mahalakshmi is Chit Prakriti is what it's called in Sanskrit, right? Prakriti is, loose translation, is nature. Chit Prakriti. This is nature with memory. See, what happens is that if nature loses its memory, then, every time you plant a mango tree, mango, the fruit that comes out may not be a mango. Suppose it suddenly you plant a mango tree and starts putting out bananas or something, you cannot do that, right? So nature has to have memory, right? Even everything is destroyed in the universe, the memory is still retained. So every time something is created in creation, it follows the laws of nature. So it's only through this nature. It is not coming, the Kamala is not coming from Lakshmi, but we refer to her as Padmavati, Padmapriya, Padmini, Padmahasta, and so on. So she loves this Padma. She loves this universe. Nature loves this universe, right? And everything happens through her. And she is the one who sets all the laws of nature. So this Mahalakshmi, Anantha, and Shesha together creating this lotus, which we call the universe, right? And in that different layers. And riding on top of that is Chaturmukha Brahma, who represents this 3-dimensional universe along with Kala or time. That's all fine. What happened to the numbers in between? So that's us, right? So all the jivas, all the souls, if you want to call it that, no 2 of them are alike. That's the interesting thing in the number system, in the integer number system. No 2 numbers are alike. Some numbers are bigger than others. But the interesting thing also is that you cannot take even one number away from that system. The whole system falls apart. If I take any number, 11, 1,000,010, whatever, if you take that one number away, the system falls apart. So the interesting thing is that all this infinite number of jivas or souls that are there, each one is unique Every single one of us is unique. No two of us are the same. But at the same time, one interesting digression is that with billions and billions of people on this planet, right? Isn't it interesting that they can identify any of us with a fingerprint? It's crazy, right? You think that, okay, maybe in every million people, there'll be two people with the exact same fingerprint. No, just in this finger. Like we use this for identification, right? We can even log into my phone and all that. So biometrics, right? So it's so unique. Each one of us is unique. It's not just a fingerprint. We're all unique, right? And there's evidence of that. There's evidence. If you just look at the fingerprint, that's just one thing. There are many other things that are unique in the body. Like if you take a picture for some, like passport or something, they say make sure that your ear is visible in the picture. So in biometrics, when the computer does that, it's looking at your ear, because every single ear, human ear, is different. It's like, I don't know, they say that, you cannot cover your ear when you take a passport picture. So the point I'm trying to make is, without going too much on a tangential path, they're very interesting things we can talk about, but we need to stay on track. So the important thing is that these unique numbers represent this infinite number of jivas, or souls. We are all equally important. Every single one of us equally. We are not equal, but we are equally important in this universe. But we have to understand and realize that there are bigger things. The zero and infinity, or Shesha and Anantha and Mahalakshmi, Chit Prakriti, nature, that dictates everything. Then there is this Chaturmukha Brahma, and there is Mukhya Vayu that provides the ability to move the energy. So universe is made up of, you may say Chaturmukha Brahma is shown, how come the energy part is not shown? Well, because energy is something you feel, you cannot see. You can feel the energy, but you cannot see energy. You cannot grasp energy, you cannot touch or smell energy, but you can feel it. You can feel the difference between good energy and bad energy. You can feel that, but you cannot grasp it, right? So this whole universe symbolically is represented in this symbolic, only symbolic representation of Anantha Padmanabha. In our next video, we'll pick another topic like this and talk about it. Thank you.